We are ready to begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Commissioners. This is the time and place that has been noticed for the open meeting of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission to consider the matters that have been duly posted by the Commission. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioners, since the December open meeting, the Commission has issued 59 notational orders. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Stop Joe Manchin first. Stop.
Thank you,
Joe
sir.
Manchin.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, and good morning, everybody. Let me first start by saying we'll try that again. Something tells me we might try it a couple more times. Let me start by saying it is truly an honor to serve our country, our nation, as chairman of FERC. First thing I want to do is thank my family. I want to thank my wife, Gabrielle, and my two children for their support as I enter this next phase of my public service career. Also want to thank President Biden for the opportunity, for this outstanding opportunity. I have to tell you, never in a million years would I think that somebody like me would lead an agency for the United States government from a place like where I'm from. I want to thank congressional leadership for their support. I also want to acknowledge Chairman Glick and all of the outstanding work that him and his team did during their tenure here at FERC. I also want to acknowledge the excellent commission staff and all of the stakeholders. You know, as we celebrated MLK Day on Monday, I began to reflect on this moment. And it's not lost on me the significance that this moment has, not just on all of us who work on these issues every day, but to people outside of our industry. And I know that I stand on the shoulders of all the chairmen and all the commissioners who have come before me. In particular, the 3 African American commissioners who served this agency so nobly. And I mentioned my family, but I forgot to mention that I know my mother is looking down and smiling on all of us. You know, as the first former state regulator, since Chairman Pat Wood was appointed in 2001, I value collaboration with our state colleagues. So I also want to thank and acknowledge the NARUC leadership and all the state commissioners who work diligently as public servants, day in and day out. You know, it's natural for you to ask, what does all this mean? You know, what are my priorities? And I hate to disappoint folks, but they haven't changed. They still largely remain the same, and they are reliability, transmission, and environmental justice and equity issues. Number one, reliability remains job number one. That includes cyber and physical security of the energy grid and preparing for extreme weather events. Over the holidays, Winter Storm Elliott brought blizzard conditions and brutally cold temperatures to 2/3 of the United States. The resulting power outages affected millions of electricity customers around the country. On December 28th, We took immediate action to institute a joint inquiry with NERC into the operation of the bulk power system during the last polar vortex. Turning to transmission. One of the best ways, I believe, to improve both reliability and resilience is investment in transmission. We're at a critical point in the energy transition, and we need to incentivize smart investments in transmission to accommodate new generation while also ensuring grid's reliability and reducing costs for consumers. As chairman, in the coming year, I look forward to working with my colleagues to build consensus to move these important transmission reforms forward and to continue the momentum that we built up over the past year. Those reforms include interconnection, transmission planning, transmission cost management, and interregional transfer capability. Last but certainly not least is environmental justice and equity. Assuring that historically disadvantaged communities, landowners, and tribal communities have an opportunity to be heard in a meaningful way every step of the way. To that end, I'm pleased that one of my first actions will be to convene a roundtable on environmental justice and equity. This discussion will build on the Commission's progress on environmental justice as we seek to strengthen the Commission's efforts to identify and address adverse impacts associated with permitting applications that come before the Commission. The roundtable will be held on March 29th, and we will issue more information on that in due time. Finally, to underscore the importance of these issues, I'm announcing a few staff changes today. Number one, Ronan Gallstone will serve as Chief of Staff to the Commission. Karen Hertzfield, she has been named Senior Counsel for Transmission Policy, and Karen will oversee efforts on transmission, interconnection, and emerging technologies. There she is. Rounding out my team is Stacy Steep, Senior Legal Advisor focusing on permitting and energy projects, Grace Hugh, Economic Advisor, Jamon Perry, Legal Advisor, and Nicole Busanelli, announcing that she has joined my team as a Technical Advisor as of today. Nicole. With that, I will conclude my remarks for now, and I will turn it back over to my colleagues. First, I'll turn to Commissioner Daly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't really have anything to say this morning other than congratulations on being elevated to the chairmanship. And for everybody out in the audience to mark their calendars, I do not have a single dissent today.
Thank you, Commissioner Danley. Commissioner Gomez.
Thank you, and therefore we all got a good sleep last night, so we appreciate that. Good morning and Happy New Year. Before we get started, let me first extend my congratulations to our new acting chairman. It's a really important role, important opportunity, of course, and congratulations also to your team and the Ronan and Karen and Stacy and Nicole and the rest of the team. I look forward to working with you all. I also, before we get started, want to congratulate Gabe Aguilera, who was on detail in my office as a technical advisor and has left the commission after 15 years because the governor of New Mexico appointed him to the PRC there, which is really an exciting appointment at an important time and affirms my instinct that the governor is a great leader. And so throughout the rest of Byron Quorum's leave, Lauren Campbell from the Office of Energy Policy and Innovation will be stepping in detail in my office to cover the Western and reliability portfolios. So thank you, Lauren. Well, it's an unfortunate set of circumstances that leave this chair next to me empty today. One thing that I think we've learned over the last few months is that because of the important work FERC does and the issues our jurisdiction spans, this agency has moved beyond the time when it got to stay out of the broader political limelight. So the question for me then is how to bring forward into this new normal successful approaches to achieve our statutory responsibilities. We often point out that the vast majority of commission orders are issued on a unanimous basis. I'm proud of that statistic. We all cite it. But here's the thing. The reality is that on the very hard orders, the decisions about how we will approach important changes to a regulatory framework that is outdated and undermatched for the challenges at hand, we have a less of a winning record on consensus. And that's okay. That's our starting reality. In this brave new world, each commissioner will come with prior perspectives on their approach to how we manage these challenges. A commissioner may come to this table antagonistic or indifferent to, or even in favor of the energy transition that the markets are driving. The job at hand, attempting to ensure affordability, reliability, and fairness in this broader context of challenges, will sometimes comport and sometimes conflict with those prior perspectives. But the responsibility to aim for these statutory objectives and directives remain constant nonetheless. And to be clear, never has there been a more important moment in history where we need to figure out how to make progress. Our country faces grave physical and cyber threats to a reliable energy system. Extreme weather is bearing down on that system, which wasn't designed to withstand its force. So I've been thinking a lot about the best shot this commission has at facilitating an affordable and reliable energy transition. First, let's renew our commitment to technology neutrality. The Federal Power Act was designed to endure in ever-evolving circumstances, to require affordability, and more recently, reliability, no matter the resources dominating the electricity mix. This requires a willingness to adapt system planning and market rules to a new set of resource characteristics and evolving system needs. And whether the problem is reliability or high cost, it requires consideration of all the tools in the solutions toolbox, no matter how long they've been around or whether they fall on the supply or demand side of the ledger. Second, let's push to achieve data-driven decision-making. Only when we are willing to look at good data and credible studies, no matter the author, can we address reliability and cost issues in concrete terms on a forward-looking basis. And only when we address reliability and cost issues in concrete terms can we decide whether and how much change is needed, and where any needed change may fall on the spectrum from incremental to wholesale reform. Pausing on these first 2 points, we have an important test ahead of us in understanding the lessons learned from the pending Winter Storm Elliott inquiry that the chairman mentioned. FERC and NERC staff must undertake this inquiry with these 2 principles in mind. Finally, let's commit to prioritizing the public in public interest.
Let's make climate job one.
Climate does implicate everything this commission and most commissions in the federal government these days do. So finally, let's commit to prioritizing the public and public interest. This requires continuing to improve accessibility to our agency. It includes a genuine belief that transparency improves outcomes. It means fairly considering good arguments, no matter which stripe the stakeholder who makes them wears. And it means being open to the idea of making changes requested by stakeholders, small and large, because they make our decisions better. I'm happy to support a productive conversation that the chairman has announced with representatives from environmental justice groups, tribes, and others who have concerns about FERC's permitting and the impact of infrastructure. The only way that can be successful is if those representatives have input on the agenda of that forum and have fair representation on the panels at that forum. This commission has talked a lot about environmental justice for the last couple of years, and ultimately, success is when the input we receive on those issues impacts the decisions that we are making. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Christie.
I don't have any separate statements like Commissioner Danley, like Commissioner Clements. We had time to sleep last night. I used my time to go to the UVA Virginia Tech basketball game in Charlottesville, so I didn't think I was going to get to do that the night before a meeting, but I got to. So it was very enjoyable. But I want to just use my time to congratulate our new chair, Commissioner Phillips. I go back with him to OPSI and MACRUC days, and among the acronyms we throw around, OPSI is the organization of PJM states, all the states that were in PJM. I knew him from then, as well as MACRUC, the Mid-Atlantic chapter of NARUC. So wanted to congratulate our new chairman. Look forward to working with him. I liked your comments about respect for the states, and I think we're going to have plenty of opportunity to show that in these transmission NOPRs. So with that, I just want to congratulate you, welcome you to your new position, and look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Christie, and thank you to all my colleagues for their thoughtful comments today. Madam Secretary, I think we are ready to go to the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since the issuance of the Sunshine Act notice on January 12th, 2023, E9 has been stricken from this morning's agenda. Your consent agenda is as follows. Electric items: E4, E5, E6, E8, E10, E11, E12, and E13. Gas items: G1. Hydro items: H1 and H2. Certificate items: C1, C2, and C3. As to H1, Commissioner Danley is concurring with a separate statement. As to H2, Commissioner Danley is concurring with a separate statement. As to C1, Commissioner Danley is concurring with a separate statement. And as to C2, Commissioner Danley is concurring with a separate statement. We are now ready to take a vote on this morning's consent agenda items. I will call for the vote for today's discussion and presentation item after it has been presented and commissioners have provided their remarks. The vote begins with Commissioner Christie.
I'm now the new one, right? Yeah. Aye on everything except E1, which we're going to vote on later.
Commissioner Clements.
I vote aye.
Commissioner Danley.
Noting my concurrences in H1, H2, C1, and C2, I vote aye.
And Chairman Phillips.
I vote aye.
We are now ready, Mr. Chairman, to move to the discussion and presentation portion of the agenda. The first presentation and discussion item for this morning is E1. E1 is a draft final rule concerning the internal network security monitoring for high and medium impact bulk electric cyber systems. There will be a presentation by Cesar Tapia from the Office of Electric Reliability. He's accompanied by Seth Yezel from the Office of the General Counsel. You may begin your presentation.
Thank you, Madam Sec.
Doc Manson first.
Thank you, Madam Secretary, Commissioner, Chairmans. Good morning. In 2020, an attack on the global supply chain of the SolarWinds Orion software, an intrusion campaign targeting the networks of public and private organizations around the world, demonstrated how an attacker can bypass all network perimeter-based security controls traditionally used to identify malicious activity and compromise the networks of public and private organizations. SolarWinds is just one example of the type of attacks that can bypass network perimeter protections. To address the risk of such attacks, Items E1 is a draft final rule directing the North American Electric Reliability Corporation, or NERC, to develop and submit for Commission approval new or modified critical infrastructure protection reliability standards that require internal network security monitoring for all high-impact bulk electric system (BESS) cyber systems and medium-impact BESS cyber systems with external routable connectivity, as defined in the reliability standards. While the draft final rule requires internal network security monitoring for all high-impact BESS cyber systems, it limits the directive for medium-impact BESS cyber systems based on the type of network connection, such as IP-based protocols. This connection allows the data captured through internal network security monitoring to flow to cybersecurity professionals who use it to analyze and respond to attacks in real time. Currently effective reliability standards focus on preventing unauthorized access and monitoring for communications at the perimeter of a network, and not malicious movement within that network. If an attacker can circumvent or find a way through the network perimeter, the attacker may move from device to device without detection and potentially establishing command and control of those protected systems, including operational control over equipment that operates the grid. Internal network security monitoring increases the chance of early detection of malicious activity, which in turn may allow for quicker mitigation and recovery from an attack. Although this draft rule focuses on the cyber systems posing the highest risk to the security of the bulk power system for malicious activity, the draft final rule contemplates that extending internal network security monitoring to all medium impact BESS cyber systems and at least a subset of low impact BESS cyber systems, if in the future, could be necessary to protect the security and the reliability of the bulk power system. Therefore, the draft final rule also directs NERC to conduct a study to guide future implementation of internal network security monitoring or other mitigation strategies for systems that would not otherwise be protected by the directive in this draft final rule. This concludes our presentation. We are happy to take any questions.
So much for the presentation. I've noted, and I know my colleagues have noted many times, that grid security and cybersecurity in particular are among our most important responsibilities regarding the bulk power system. So I'm very happy to see that we are moving to finalize this rulemaking today. I just have a couple quick questions. First question, can you explain the distinction between high, medium, and low impact BES cyber systems?
Very good question, Chairman. BESS cyber systems are categorized as high, medium, or low impact depending on the functions of the assets housed within each system and the risk they potentially pose to the reliable operation of the bulk electric system. Registered entities categorize BESS cyber systems as high, medium, or low impact depending on the adverse impact that loss, compromise, or misuse of those BESS cyber systems could have on reliable operation. BESS cyber systems with higher impact levels have security controls that correspond to their impact on reliable operations.
Final question. Can you expand on how these standards can lessen the discovery and recovery time if a compromise occurs?
Another very good question. When a device is compromised, the attacker typically attempts to compromise other devices within the network as well. For the attacker to accomplish this, they will need to move from device to device through the network. INSM uses sensors to detect this malicious activity and then alert security teams in order for them to respond. Without INSM, the movement may not be detected of these adversaries, and the security team must rely on other security controls to detect the malicious activity. As a result, INSM adds to a defense in-depth strategy.
Thank you for your response. I thank you to your team. I thank you to the standard drafting team. I've had the unique pleasure of working in some of these windowless rooms, trying to build consensus on these standards. It's not an easy task, so thank you so much. With that, I'll turn to my colleagues for any comments or questions. Commissioner Danley.
None. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cummings.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'm glad to support today's order directing NERC to address what amounts to a gap in our current cybersecurity standards. Our staff has explained well, and the order explains well, that our existing standards only require monitoring at the perimeter of critical networks, but do not require the monitoring within those networks should the first line of defense fail. We've been watching enough football this week to know what happens. You can't win on D with just your linemen, right? So if it sounds like common sense, it is. And our foundational standards are just that. We must be vigilant to keep that ground floor strong enough to evolve the standards to counter the evolving threat. I'm very pleased that we are directing a firm 15-month deadline for NERC to propose the standard. And we don't need more than that many months in that windowless room, right? It's hard. The processes take time, but it is imperative that we get this important cybersecurity measure in place as quickly as it is feasible. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Christie?
Thank you for your hard work on this, a critically important issue, obviously, and so this is a good step forward. Glad to vote for it. Thank you.
We are now ready to take a vote on item E1. The vote begins with Commissioner Christie.
Aye.
Commissioner Clements,
Aye.
Commissioner Danley,
Aye.
and Chairman Phillips.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, there's nothing further on our agenda this morning.
I just want to thank everybody once again as we close out our meeting today. I want to thank my colleagues. We are all public servants here. We're all trying to do the very best that we can to move the commission's missions forward. We commit to all of you here today. I commit. I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we pull every level possible to move forward the priorities that I set out at the beginning of this meeting. That is all that I have to say. Any closing comments from my colleagues?
Nothing for me, thank you.
I guess I got to use this. That concludes our meeting.